and acknowledge our commissioners and that we're all joining by Microsoft Teams today. Good morning, everyone. It's an exciting day. Wow. For those of you that made it to the housewarming on Monday night, I think you all share with me just how amazing our new airport is, and more importantly, the incredible work done by everyone involved in pulling off that project. The port staff in particular, but all of the craftsmen and artisans and labor folks and the safety record. I mean, it's just, we could go on and on and on. It was absolutely incredible. And I know Curtis was doing an interview with the Oregonian, and so I don't know if he's had a chance yet.
I am on.
Are you on? Hi, Curtis.
I am. Good morning.
I know we'll get into this in executive director's report, so we'll hold off on more praise till we get to that part of the agenda. How does that sound? So I'd like
I like praise all the time.
Call for a motion and a second for approval of the minutes for July 10th, our regular commission meeting.
So moved.
Second.
And because we are meeting virtually, we will have Pam do a roll call for all of our votes. So Pam, roll call vote, please.
Commissioners Adams?
She might be on mute because I know she's on. Yeah.
Yes.
Commissioner Adams, you want to make sure you unmute, or if you're having problems, we can circle back. I'm guessing your vote is an aye, but I can't vote for you.
Yeah. Commissioner Koba?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Lamb?
Aye.
Luther?
Aye.
Nemi?
Aye.
Stumput?
Aye.
And Strader? Not present. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion carries. Now we can go to all the praise and adulation. Curtis, good morning on few hours of sleep, you for your whole team.
Oh, the team has been just all out. It's been really exceptional. I see Vince on here with me. It has been quite a morning and everyone's really excited. Just a lot of smiles, honestly. It's been a great, and the kind you want for an opening, uneventful morning. And as I think commissioners are aware, we're just trying to use this as an opportunity to tell the story of the space and the people who did this incredible work. And boy, it's been a blast. So let me start by saying I am in Loyal Legion inside the airport at a lovely bar stool, which is the first time I've ever done a commission meeting from a bar stool, but it is pretty spectacular. And don't worry, it's just coffee in the mug. One has to worry about that. The safety message can proceed as announced. I have, Katie, as you noted, been doing a bunch of media this morning, and I do want to note on safety that this project has just passed the 5.4 million craft hours threshold without a serious incident. So it is really an astonishing story. And what I would like to do is shift to the monthly safety champions who you'll see recognized hopefully here on the screen. Again, from the Marine part of our business, from navigation, and two of our folks who work in airport operations. Just another crop of port employees who are really watching out for each other, watching out for coworkers and for passengers and partners. It's just terrific. So this morning, if I could, I'd like Dylan Lazan, who's our Director of Risk Management, to share a safety message beyond the one that I've started with this morning. Dylan, are you ready to roll?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Curtis. Good morning. My name is Dylan Lazan. My pronouns are he and him, and I'm the Director of Risk Management here at the Port of Portland. At the Port, the risk management team is responsible for the administration of our insurance portfolio, claims management, and recovery. We perform contract reviews and evaluate the Port's various business transactions using a risk lens to provide insights and recommendations. The risk team also facilitates the enterprise risk management program, leads the business continuity planning efforts, and takes on special projects from time to time. Less than a year ago, my colleague, Dan Reed, the Port's risk manager, delivered the safety message where he shared with you a few examples of the ways the risk team identifies safety hazards through incident notifications and in-person inspections, and how we share this information and work closely with the safety team to evaluate, mitigate, or eliminate the identified hazard. In the time that I have with you today, I'd like to share with you a couple of other ways that the risk team has embraced safety as a guiding principle and are actively working to protect our people and the public. One of the ways is that we've embedded safety into our enterprise risk management program by including potential impact to people as a factor when evaluating and prioritizing the port's risks. This allows us to assess the potential health and safety consequences separate from the potential financial consequences of a risk, which in turn increases the significance and oversight of those risks with the potential to cause harm to employees or the public relative to those risks with only financial impacts. Another way that the risk team contributes to our safety efforts is by leveraging our relationships with our insurance partners to bring resources and expertise to the port. Like us, our insurance carriers benefit financially when the port avoids losses and injuries and will at times make resources available to us to help manage our safety risks. Recent examples include noise and dust monitoring at the terminal construction site, grant funds provided for COVID safety measures, and the engineering and fire protection consultations on our construction projects. This past July, we partnered with a new excess workers' compensation insurer. We made this switch because the new insurer provides access to an online portal containing resource libraries, driver training, safety assessment, sample policies, and many other resources. In addition to that, they offer up to $25,000 to be used for field consulting work that's directly tied to safety. We're now in the process of working with Steve Danielson and the rest of the safety team to decide how best to deploy the insurer-provided resources to best protect our people and the public, and we look forward to working with the Commission on ideas. Thank you very much.
Terrific. Thanks, Dylan. Appreciate you this morning and the perspective on risk management. Really great. Let me, Commissioners, just for a little bit of detail, I wanted to let you know how it went this morning. We did start late last night at PDX with the removal of the barriers and the transition over to the new structure. It went very well. By 3 this morning, most of the pieces were in place. We had a few, I'm looking at you, Vince Granato, a few minor bumps in the road, but I would call them normal in an airport. You know, a kid pukes on the floor, a pipe bursts in a coffee shop, a few bags slow down as they're going baggage handling, but overall, a really incredible start today. Vince and I were just noting 45 minutes ago or an hour ago that we shut down the Emergency Operations Center, meaning we're through the transition event, and it has just been a really successful start. And the awe and wonder on people's faces they walk in is just a marvel. I know you're all going to be really happy to see it, and I just am really looking forward to that. I do want to thank, as President Cobo mentioned, all of you who were able to come out on Monday night. Just a really wonderful event to share with our partners. I was really pleased to see that about half of the people in attendance were people who worked on the project. And so it was a real great opportunity for both community leaders and community members to get close to people who did the work. And I'm just really grateful for everyone who was able to come out. I was honestly moved by a lot of the speakers, like Ivan McClellan, the artist, who talked about the unique opportunity it gave him to film a video in Eastern Oregon and be present in a space where he can see people who look like him in a building like this. And also to hear, in particular, the Yakima Nation representative, vice chairman, say, we felt respected by you, and you came to see us and talk to us about this project, and we see you as real partners. I just love that. Or Nate McCoy from NAMAC talking about how the port really lived its values here, and other people should learn from this team. So I do want to there are too many port people to thank, but I do want to note Vince Granato, who's on, and his project team have done best in class work here, and I'm grateful to them. It is astonishing what they've achieved. Dan Kiffinger and his operations team have been a real critical link into moving from project to operation, and they've done just a really great job and continue to work on operationalizing everything that has come to place here. And then finally, while everyone at the port has had a part, in particular this last month or two, Dave Robertson and his public affairs team in helping get the story told in a way that is meaningful and matches the values of this community has really been exceptional. So thanks to all of them, Kelly Bonsall and her crew who ran that big event on Monday night, and we're back here on Tuesday morning pitching media. So I'm just really grateful for the support and look forward to celebrating with all of you in the weeks and months ahead. So that's all I've got, Madam President and Commissioners. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, Curtis. Commissioners, comments, thoughts that you would like to share? Here comes Catherine. I can see her.
Well, I just have to say, Monday night, that was amazing. And I just grateful to see all the community came out and how, Curtis, you and your team embracing the community and shining the spotlight, sharing the spotlight with them too. So that was great. And Vince and Chris, I'm glad that I still see smiles on you guys and your team. So that's amazing. I know it's been rough, with lacking of sleeps, and here you're still smiling. So keep it up. Great work. Proud of you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine. You might share with people what you did this morning.
Well, as I'm walking to the terminal, and I saw passengers keep looking up, say, wow, wow. And here I am, I'm like, ooh, be careful. You have luggage, you have young children, right? So I'm like, that's amazing. And I wish I captured those moments, right? And also stop by some of our tenants, and just they so happy and the excitement. I have to say that it's a joy to see that in our community. So,
absolutely, Rochelle.
Yeah, just to echo the excitement and the wonder, but also one of the things that I kept hearing on Monday night during the celebration was what a win and an important win that this was for Portland and the region. At a time when we really need a win, and really kind of being an anchor to the comeback of Portland to what we know it is and can be. So just congratulations. I think really the broader community just sees this as, how to get things done in a way that reflects our regional values. And so I think all of us feel proud, but certainly, Curtis, your extended team is setting the standard for any number of ways. And really the entire Port of Portland team should feel so proud that is a community win.
Anybody else? Not seeing hands up. So thank you just does not capture everything that's happened, and the effort and the personal commitment and excitement. So I always hate to call out individuals, but Vince, thank you very, very much for your thousands of years of work now at the port, because that's probably what it feels like. And please convey, Curtis and Vince, to the whole port staff our thanks and appreciation for just, top class work, top class facility, top class celebration on Monday night. And now we get to look onward. The project is not done. There is more work to be done, and we have a little bit of a bill to pay. So I know we're going to be focused on that. But thanks very, very much. All right. Can I have a motion and a second for approval of the executive director's report?
So moved.
second.
Pam, can you please do the roll call vote?
Yes, Commissioners Adams,
Aye.
Koba,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lamb,
Aye.
Luther,
Aye.
Nimi,
Aye.
Sampat,
Aye.
and Strader.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you. We did not receive any requests for public comment for this meeting, so we will move on from there. We have one consent item, which is a contract amendment for the EGSE infrastructure installation at the airport, Portland International Airport. You all have heard this topic before. Does any commissioner want a presentation of the consent item? Not seeing anything, so I will call for a motion and second for approval of the executive director's recommendation on the consent item.
So moved.
Second.
Pam, can you do the roll call vote, please?
Yes, Commissioners Adams,
Aye.
Koba,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lamb,
Aye.
Luther,
Aye.
Nimi,
Aye.
Sampat,
Aye.
and Strader.
Aye.
Motion
Thank you.
carries. Motion carries. Thank you. We have two action items, and I will call on Myra Areola. Good morning, Myra, to introduce the first item.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, commissioners. My name is Mayra Areola, and I'm the Shared Prosperity Officer at the port. I am introducing an agenda item for commission approval this morning. We have reached agreement with the Portland Police Employees Association on a 4-year contract, and I am going to turn it over to Heather Chow, Director of Human Resources, and Jason Wallace, our Chief of Police, to present the terms.
Good morning, thank you. And I am here representing Beverly Pierman, Director of Public Safety and Security, who is right now meeting with Administrator Pekoski. So thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to give a little background, Heather. Yeah. Just to give you a little background and context on the bargaining and negotiations, we began last January of 2023, about 5 months before the contract expiration with us and the Port of Portland Police Employees Association, POPI. We held 10 bargaining sessions over 8 months, and then we jointly filed in August of 2023 for mediation with IRB. We had 2 mediation sessions. We had no movement. We prepared for arbitration, returned to the table twice, and we reached a tentative agreement on July 2nd of 2024. On July 22nd, the union ratified the contract, the tentative agreement. In general, the port was not seeking significant policy changes during the negotiation. Our focus was on total compensation alignment with comparable jurisdictions. And our total comp calculations included base wages as well as premium pay for certifications and specialty assignments, vacation and holiday accruals, and then the total monetary compensation. Heather?
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, commissioners. Thank you, Chief Wallace. He was an instrumental member of the bargaining team, so I'm glad that he's able to be here with me this morning. I'll walk through some of the highlights of the agreement in conjunction with Chief Wallace, and then we'll take any questions that you might have. So the terms of the agreement, as Myra said, is a 4-year contract starting with July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2027. The first year, there's a 5% agreement to provide on wages retroactive to July 13th of 23, and then 4% retroactive to July 11th. Last 2 years of the contract, based on the CPI West index, we're looking at a range of 2 to 5%. The next few items with the sergeant pay scale and the DPSST premiums, as well as the HSA contributions, are better to align with market. So with the sergeant pay scale, we're adding 2 additional pay steps of 5% to the top end of the current wage scale. So currently they have 3 steps. We're adding 2 more steps on top of that. And then for the DPSST premiums, those are smaller increases, again, to better align with market. Currently they're at 3 and 6% respectively. For 2024, we're increasing to 4%, 8% respectively. And then for next year, it's 5 and 10% respectively. On holidays, we're adding Martin Luther King Jr. Day and Juneteenth and removing Columbus Day. So the Portland Police Employees Association is the only union currently that has Columbus Day, and we're removing that and adding Juneteenth and the other day, Martin MLK Day, to better align with what the rest of the organization has. And then lastly, on the HSA contributions, that's a smaller increase as well. $500 for employee only, and then $1,200 for employee independents. I'll hand it back to Chief.
We're going to slide 4.
Yep.
Okay, so for the annual year-over-year cumulative financial impact, we do have some increases. That's attributed to obviously the wage, the CPI, the 2-year certification pay adjustment, and the sergeant step adjustment, which really was the main area we were out of alignment with comps, were the sergeant steps. So we added those 2 to be consistent with the state. Let's see, year 1, yearly increase, $785,000, cumulative slightly more. Year 2, the cumulative is $1,445,000. Year 3, we are up to $2,285,000, and year 4, $3,021,000. Total new money increase life of the CBA is $7,000,005. I will say this is high, but one of the successes of this negotiation, for the first time in 30 years, we were able to get the union to agree to a 4th year, which is, we're very happy about that. Actually, both sides were happy we were able to come to that agreement. We get some certainty with CPI protections in that 4th and 3rd year. I'm gonna turn it back over to you, Heather. We have another slide.
Yep, one more slide.
One more slide, please. Slide 5. Any questions before we move to slide 5?
I'm not seeing any.
Okay, so our recommendation would be to approval to enter into a 4-year collective bargaining agreement with the Port of Portland Police Employee Association beginning July 1st, 2023.
Any questions from commission members? Oh, looks good. Oh, wait a minute, somebody's hand's up. Rochelle.
Yeah, just a question on turnover. I'm just curious what your turnover is in the organization, and you know, yes, kind of training, and whether the collective bargaining dealt with training at all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So in preparation for arbitration, we did an analysis of our turnover. Great news is, looking back from 2018 to current, we actually looked at folks who left. First of all, our turnover rates are lower than the state and the region. The people that did leave got out of law enforcement, retired. We had one person that was wanting to receive lateral pay, went to the city, but that was limited by the CBA. So the good news is, when analyzing our turnover, the rates are low, and I could not find anybody that left, of course, on the outgoing interviews because of the pay, which I know was one of the things I always talked about during bargaining with both sides. But for us, it wasn't a retention issue for the pay, it was market comp. And I didn't see any data that would show that we had that problem before. And I don't anticipate with the changes we'll have that moving forward.
Commissioner Johnson.
We've hired, we have over 60% of our department is people here since 2018. It's it's a wonderful and scary time to have this many new people. Scary in a good way, not in a bad way, folks. It's a lot of new young folks we have brought on board.
Thank you.
Great. Commissioner Johnson.
Yeah, just the increases, and maybe you said it and maybe I just missed it, but the increases we are approving, and they are on par with the local region, the cities, and other jurisdictions?
Yes, so one thing that I've had from Port leadership is support to use regional comps. We also look at the broader comp market in the state. So we are extremely competitive with the entire Portland metro area and then other cities within Oregon that would be similar. And we do have a formula to break down our city size if you do go farther out in the state, and we are at or above those other cities within the state. And we are competitive within the top 10 metro agencies of Oregon.
Awesome.
Sorry, Portland Metro. Thank you.
Yeah, no, awesome. Thank you for that.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Can I get a motion and a second for approval of the executive director's recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
Pam, roll call vote, please.
Commissioners Adams,
Aye.
Koba,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lamb,
Aye.
Luther,
Aye.
Nemi,
Aye.
Sampat,
Aye.
and Strader.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Our last
Thank you.
agenda item, I will ask Keith Levitt to introduce. Morning, Keith.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, commissioners. So, and this is my last commission meeting with you all, and it's kind of amazing. I'm a little bit shocked that my tenure is coming to an end. It's fitting, though, that we've got a TRIP item in front of you. This one is pretty straightforward, and I'll have Chris describe it. We're going to enter into an option agreement at Lot 12, but I do think it's important to kind of step back and think about where we've been with Troutdale Reynolds Industrial Park. And, you know, I look at the roof and I look at all the stuff that we're doing at PDX, and there's a through line that goes over to the TED team. We are able to do really big things in the region and do transformational work. And TRIP is probably the most understated of all the assets that we've got. We have now, over about a 15 to 20 year period, almost fully developed. This is really one of the last lots that we have. We have over 5,300 jobs. A lot of it is the warehousing logistics sector. And I know we were worried about whether those were quality jobs, but guess what? They actually are quality jobs in the region. And the data, especially with our latest East Multnomah County strategy, bears that out. They're close to $53,000 a year in the way that they pay. And if you look at the last 5 years, the poverty rate in East County has declined by 6.2%, which has outpaced the state average, which is 3%. And the logistics sector is a big reason why that happened. TRIP is a really big part of all of that. But for the big vision that happened 15, 20 years ago, that the port is really good at developing these large industrial sites and bringing economic value to the community, we would not have done it. It was a Superfund site, and it's the largest brownfield redevelopment in the history of the state of Oregon. So I say all of that. It's my last my last commission meeting. I just want everyone to dream big again for what we would do with our team. And I love this item in particular because it's going to help us pay the bills. This was a very, very challenging overall site to develop, and Lot 12 in Fairview was a lot that we never thought we would be able to generate revenue from. And Chris has done a great job of bringing this option agreement, and I know eventually move into a purchase and sale agreement. So Great job to our team for bringing this forward. And with that, I'm going to have Chris present the item.
Thank you, Keith, and good morning, commissioners. Can everyone hear me okay? I just want to make sure. All right, got some thumbs up. Great, thank you. All right, well, again, I'm Chris Damian. I work with Keith and Teresa Carr and team in the Business Development Properties wing of TED, and pleasure to present this item to you. Next slide, please. So today before you, we have, as Keith mentioned, an option with a potential purchase and sale agreement. Fairview Energy Storage is the official name, but you will know it as NextEra Energy Resources, which is a large operator of clean energy projects across North America, the largest actually. They are already in the Pacific Northwest, have some presence, and they actually have presence at TRIP. They have purchased Lot 12 and are actively in construction for developing a 200 megawatt battery energy storage facility, which I'll talk about here on the next slide. Much like the port, much like the state of Oregon and our utility partners, they too have decarbonization goals and have been aggressive in this front, both in the production and in the storage component of energy. Next slide, please. So when we talk about energy landscape, or what we think about it, we normally think of it in three phases. That would be through production, transmission, and consumption. But what we're really talking about today is kind of an appendage to that second portion of transmission. That is adding storage and resiliency capacity to the grid, which is a smart grid approach. It adds a demand and responsive stage to it. So energy can be released during peak utilization needs. This does two things from a policy alignment and a positive outcome perspective. On the policy front, it helps our utility partners, including PGE, get to their state mandates to decarbonize 80% by 2030. It is in alignment actually with our Regional Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, the CEDS document, where we talk about building resiliency and capacity for this region to have its energy consumption needs met. And it also, in this particular case, helps with our port-wide carbon reduction targets by enabling property assets that we have to be divested in order to facilitate a general decarbonization goal for the region. Positive outcomes, there is the building upon the grid capacity and the resiliency. And the unique thing about these features, unlike production or previous historic energy legacy projects, is there are virtually no negative impacts to the surrounding communities. They do not generate truck traffic apart from the construction and minor maintenance. They do not produce effluent. They are not noisemakers. And in this particular case, it's geographically isolated. So let's go to the next slide and we'll talk a little bit more about why this project and this site. So here is kind of a overview of the East Multnomah County area. You can see TRIP is highlighted in blue and our property in question is in red. If you've been up to Blue Lake Park or over by the river launch there, it's right at the end of 223rd by the Marine Drive overpass. So pretty isolated site. Let's go on that next slide. We'll introduce kind of where the energy landscape is here. The yellow lines indicate major transmission lines, largely running from production facilities in the eastern part of the state. And they converge here in Troutdale. And there are three major energy substations. And the energy substation we have an interest in is the PGE facility there on the left, the leftmost one. And so the proximity of lots of the Fairview lot in red to that substation, that is what is driving the interest in this potential acquisition. The next slide will show, we can advance to the next slide. The next slide shows the existence of the energy storage facility that's going in. That's the one on the right, and then the proposed one, which would be on the Fairview lot, which is on the left. So you can see that TRIP, this area is very well equipped. These battery facilities do need to have co-location near the substations because that ties it in with an integrated resource plan where the utility companies can procure and purchase the energy that the storage releases. Next slide, please. So descending a little bit more into the Fairview lot and looking at it, and I may violate a couple of rules of real estate, but this is actually really hard property to develop in its typical industrial sense. It has a lot of acreage, 40 acres, which is a big site for us, but really only which 20 are developable. There are some constraints on the site, particularly with a levee that holds back the Columbia River floodwaters and the power line easements that you can see in the image up there. Also, slope access in order to access the site for typical industrial use would be very challenging for trucks. So that's one of the biggest challenges of potentially considering other industrial uses, is just the configuration and the access portion of it. It is geographically isolated, as you saw. It's not near any residential areas. It's just about a half mile to the closest ones. It is zoned already industrial, so the entitlement front is good on that portion. And it's, of course, within the city of Fairview, and it's also within Fairview's tax increment financing district, which I'll speak to a little bit here on the shared prosperity consideration. Next slide, please. So when you're considering, again, why this project in this location, we acknowledge that these facilities are not a big job generator. They are expected to have 5 direct jobs created, 15 total. But you do have some significant economic impact through net tax, labor, income, value add, not to mention building permit revenue and property tax valuation for the city of Fairview down the road. But on the shared prosperity front, this is a very appealing project in many ways too. Those direct jobs do meet the quality job criteria that we set forth. It, of course, is in alignment, as we spoke earlier, with state and regional sustainability policies. We are expecting to have a donation of $200,000 to a future economic prosperity fund, and I know a couple of the commissioners were privy to that presentation yesterday, as a prospective fund is going to be considered for the future. We do expect minority and women-owned business enterprises to participate in this, and the map here on the right really demonstrates the importance of the site for the city of Fairview. As Keith mentioned, the port didn't have a lot of expectations for the site's development, given the difficulties of it. But Fairview found it wise to include it in the tax increment financing district. And development of this site then unlocks a lot of opportunity and a lot of revenue generating possibilities for that fund to contribute to Fairview's improvement goals through that district, which include a loan to grant program for private development, the improvement of public infrastructure along 223rd, which is a very difficult street to navigate if you're on foot or on bike. And it will help to better connect the lower income areas of the community with areas of opportunity that the city of Fairview has established and wanting to crystallize around. So we see this as a tremendous possibility to help a local partner unlock opportunity, and of course a regional utility provider to pursue climate goals. Next slide. Details on the business terms. Again, this would be a 1-year option that that NextEra would have with us. It would be for the full 40 acres, including that acreage that could not be developed. We're at a $1.95 million price with an option fee associated with that. We also are in a final throes of an entitlement process where we're formally creating the lot of record with Multnomah County. And of course, the sale would have to happen upon that lot of record being established. We can't sell property that doesn't legally exist, even though, of course, it physically exists. Next slide, please. And with that, we come before you as with our executive director recommendation, and we sincerely appreciate your time and consideration and support as we try to advance property and larger goals for East County. With that, I'll be happy to take any questions.
Great. Thank you, Chris. Questions? Seen any? That was easy. So let me take a minute. Keith, I'm sorry that we have to do your last meeting virtually. That doesn't seem quite right. But maybe, just maybe, we'll see you around. I won't say anything more than that. But bottom line, a huge thank you to you for your years of service way back when you were a little state employee like I was, and then everything that you have done with the Port of Portland. I know not everything got finished in your mind, but the foundation that you've laid for all of us to pick up and keep moving forward is truly incredible. And so thank you for your years of service. It really is people like you that make a huge difference for organizations, and you will be missed. And I see that Commissioner Strader has his hand up.
Yeah, Keith, I wanted to just thank you for the work that we've done. Actually, we were pretty closely the last few years, and I just have great appreciation for how professional you are and your leadership, pointing us in the direction in difficult times. It's been sometimes an arduous journey, but you've always kept a really good attitude under a stressful situation and provided great leadership. So personally, thank you. It's always been a pleasure to work with you, and hopefully looking forward to working with you in some aspect in the future. So congratulations on your new adventures, but you will be sorely missed. Thanks.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lamb.
Well, Keith, I know in your portfolio, not only the terminal, but the property, but I witnessed your work at the national, and I think that's you make sure the Port of Portland and the state of Oregon have a global presentation, and I think that's your work, your leadership leading that. It's critical, and you represent us very well. You always make sure that we have a seat at the table in Asia, especially Asian market. And I recognize those was a lot of investment in time and directions to your team. I appreciate that. Also, best of luck. I can't wait to see your next chapter, and hopefully that to see you around. Again, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Lots of airline miles in your world, Keith.
Those airline miles are almost over now.
Yes, they are. We need a motion and a second for approval of the executive director's recommendation on the Trip Fairview lot.
So moved.
Second.
Pam, roll call vote.
Commissioners Adams,
Aye.
Koba,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Lamb,
Aye.
Luther,
Aye.
Nemi,
Aye.
Stumput,
Aye.
and Strader.
Aye.
Motion
you.
carries. Thank you. Our executive director has his hand up. Welcome, Curtis. Hi.
Thank you. I apologize, commissioners. In the hustle bustle of the new terminal, I didn't take a moment to thank Keith for his service, and I would just say the port team is really going to miss Keith. He has been an extraordinary contributor for many years, and he's been a great ally of mine. We've taken on some really tough things together, and he's always to be relied on to go for it, to think big about what we can do, and to advocate for both rural and urban communities. I'll just say he's a good friend and a great contributor to this community, and we're going to miss him a lot. So I just wanted to be sure I got that in, and apologies for stepping a bit out of order there.
Any final thoughts, questions, comments from commission members? If not, meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.